Some models simply walk the runway, others slay it. But then there are icons who transform the fashion world permanently. Gia Carangi was one such icon, a Philly girl who didn't just enter the fashion scene. She shattered the door and changed it forever. Born in a tough Philadelphia neighborhood in 1960 to Italian and Irish parents, Gia faced a chaotic home life overshadowed by a toxic, volatile relationship between her parents. Her mother left to escape the turmoil, leaving Gia isolated and struggling for attention in a family dominated by her father's focus on her brothers. But that was only the beginning. Gia embraced an androgynous look inspired by David Bowie and proudly owned her queerness, pioneering a bold style that was unusual at the time. At 14, a modeling scout noticed her potential, and by 16, Gia's magnetic presence was turning heads in Philly's underground gay clubs, setting her on a path to modeling stardom. And what happened next would shake the fashion world forever. Early life and family struggles. Gia Carangi, born on January 29, 1960, in a gritty Philadelphia neighborhood, was the youngest of 3 children. Her father, Joe, ran a chain of hoagie shops while her mother, Kathleen, was a homemaker. Growing up, Gia found herself in a tumultuous home environment, defined by her parents' toxic and explosive relationship. Joe was known to be controlling and jealous, which deeply affected the family dynamics. Kathleen, on the other hand, grew increasingly restless and distant. The turning point came when Gia was just 11 years old, when her mother made the bold decision to leave. That moment left a profound impact on Gia, forcing her into an emotional whirlwind. Her brother Michael reflected on their chaotic home life after their mother's departure, describing it as devoid of rules, structure, and stability. Gia felt especially isolated and neglected as the only girl in a household dominated by her brothers. Her family environment was broken, filled with confusion and uncertainty. Gia later expressed feeling like she was invisible as her father poured all his attention onto her brothers. This desire for connection ultimately shaped her identity, pushing her to seek validation in unique ways. As she grew, Gia's relationship with her father turned increasingly strained, her need for attention often leading her down paths that conflicted with her family's expectations. Despite the chaos surrounding her, a fierce determination simmered within her, setting the stage for her future endeavors in modeling. Navigating conflicts at home, Gia's early life was a complex tapestry of love, loss, and longing. Finding identity and first steps into modeling, Gia Carangi, from a young age, found herself yearning for connection in a chaotic world. She navigated her identity through fluid expressions of femininity and masculinity, which became central to her persona, embracing an androgynous style that garnered attention within her community. Growing up in a conservative backdrop, where rigid gender norms prevailed, Gia sought solace and freedom in the vibrant, open creative spaces of Philadelphia's artsy circles, notably identifying with the flamboyant Bowie Kids, a crew captivated by David Bowie's androgyny and bold sexuality. At just 14, her life took a transformative turn when a modeling scout first recognized her potential during a casual encounter. This was an extraordinary moment, serving as a catalyst that propelled her into the realm of modeling, quickly leading to her first shoot at 16, alongside local photographers. Gia's unique features, coupled with her innate charisma, quickly caught the industry's eye. She thrived on the thrill of fashion events, reveling in her distinct presence that demanded respect amidst a cast of conventional beauty. Her unapologetic boldness and refusal to conform drew mixed reactions, but undeniably placed her at the center of the cultural conversation around beauty and identity. Through her journey, Gia not only established herself within the modeling industry, but also inspired a generation to defy norms, paving the way for a more inclusive and expansive understanding of beauty, allowing others like her to embrace their identities freely, something she fiercely embodied and celebrated. Rising to fame and unique style. Gia Carangi's rise to fame was nothing short of explosive, as her unique style and presence disrupted the fashion norm, quickly propelling her into the limelight. Starting her modeling career in the mid-1970s, Gia was discovered by a talent scout in her teens, and soon after began to redefine what it meant to be a model. She was not just another pretty face. She embodied an edgy, raw elegance that was deeply captivating. Dressing in men's clothing, sporting a short haircut, and adopting an androgynous look, she challenged the conventions of femininity that dominated the runway. Instead of the typical polished appearance, Gia showcased an authentic, rough-around-the-edges vibe that resonated with many. She brought a fierce confidence to every shoot, all while forging her path through the bustling nightlife of New York City, where her striking looks and energy mesmerized all. Gia became known for her intense gaze and emotive posing, commanding the attention of photographers and designers alike. Top names in the industry vied for her, demonstrating the undeniable pull of her individuality. She worked with fashion houses like Versace and Dior and graced the covers of major magazines, including Vogue and Cosmopolitan, becoming a household name almost overnight. At her peak, Gia wasn't just a model. She was the face of a new era in fashion. Her unique fusion of styles and unapologetic self-expression ushered in a wave of androgyny and visibility, allowing her to leave a lasting impact on the modeling world, long before the mainstream embraced diversity. The dark side: struggles with addiction. Despite her skyrocketing career, Gia battled substance use, the glamorous world of modeling cloaking a darker reality, as her ascent was marred by struggles with addiction. The intoxicating party scenes, brimming with easy access to drugs, led Gia down a treacherous path, slowly eroding her work ethic and passion, showing up late or not at all. At first, it seemed she was managing it, landing covers and bookings, even dancing in iconic music videos, but behind the scenes, turmoil brewed. Pressures of fame took their toll, pulling her further into a spiral of substance abuse and self-destructive behavior. Colleagues noticed shifts in her demeanor, whispers of late arrivals became louder, and, dreadfully, the fashion industry couldn't ignore the fallout any longer. In 1980, the once unthinkable happened. Vogue published photographs showing visible track marks, a stark revelation that sparked controversy. Her magic on camera was undeniable, yet her struggle was laid bare, forcing everyone to confront the harsh realities that many in the industry preferred to ignore. The addiction, undoubtedly a product of pressures and circumstances, became an inescapable reality, besieging Gia as she fought valiantly to maintain her position. However, as time rolled on, recovery attempts proved increasingly elusive, each step forward marred by relapses and setbacks, revealing, starkly, the depth of her fight. For Gia, it was never just about fashion, it was about survival, a complicated battle against demons that ultimately shaped her story. Attempts at recovery and career decline. Gia made multiple efforts to get clean, seeking help from various rehabilitation centers, struggling to reclaim her life, and battling the demons that had taken hold of her. But toxic relationships continued to anchor her down. By 1983, after a series of relapses and poor decisions, her modeling career collapsed dramatically, forcing her to confront the reality of her situation head-on. The fashion industry, once her playground, became a daunting space from which she felt increasingly isolated and unwanted. Her chaotic lifestyle had begun to fracture her relationships, including with her trusted agent, who had supported her during her rise to fame. Gia's promising trajectory quickly crumbled under the weight of her addiction and the relentless pressure to maintain her image. Desperate for stability, she returned to her roots in Philadelphia, hoping to find solace and a sense of belonging away from the glitz and glamour that had initially captivated her. However, recovery proved to be an uphill battle. Every step forward seemed to be accompanied by 2 steps back. Gia enrolled in a 21-day detox program, trying to rid herself of the substances that had clouded her life. She fought against her addiction with every ounce of strength she had left, determined to regain her footing and re-enter the industry that once adored her. Yet, each attempt at sobriety was thwarted by the toxic dynamics around her, as the lure of her old life haunted her thoughts. Declining gigs and missed opportunities became the norm, and the once vibrant model found herself battling the shadows of her past while trying to build a future that felt increasingly out of reach. facing illness and final years. In the mid-1980s, Gia's health took a grave turn amid a mysterious new illness, AIDS, at a time when it was little understood and heavily stigmatized. Diagnosed after contracting it likely through needles, Gia faced isolation compounded by ignorance and fear. She became one of the first high-profile women to be diagnosed, drawing attention to an epidemic that, until then, was largely associated with the gay community. This diagnosis came at a harsh moment, as society struggled to comprehend the reality of the virus, and the stigma attached to it was overwhelming. Many people simply didn't understand, and often they did not want to learn. Gia, who had once radiated power and glamour, began to see her health deteriorate rapidly. She experienced both physical and emotional challenges that strained her spirit, yet, through it all, she continued to search for hope. Despite the darkening cloud of her illness, she started to look into film schools in Philadelphia. Even while facing severe health issues, she held on to her dream of becoming a filmmaker, someone who could tell stories and capture life through a lens. She sought a profound connection to life, beyond the superficiality of modeling. In her pursuits, she tried to reclaim some semblance of control, in a life spinning out of control. But soon, it became apparent that her battle with AIDS would take its toll. As 1986 progressed, Gia's situation worsened, leaving her weakened and vulnerable, with repeated hospital visits becoming more frequent. Tragically, when she entered a hospital in October that year, her once vibrant spirit seemed diminished. On November 18, 1986, she succumbed to AIDS-related complications at just 26, a heartbreaking conclusion to a life that had once epitomized beauty and rebellion. Legacy beyond the runway. Gia Carangi's legacy is profound and transcends mere runway fame. She reshaped the beauty standards of her time, carving a space for androgyny and queerness in a world that often underestimated both. With an unapologetic attitude, Gia challenged the fashion industry's conventions, proving that beauty could be raw and unpolished, not just limited to cookie-cutter models. Her story goes deep into the struggles of addiction, mental health, and the often hidden price of fame. Gia's vulnerability and authenticity resonated with many, making her a symbol of resilience for those battling their inner demons. Unfortunately, her tragic fate is a reminder of the sacrifices some make in pursuit of acceptance and love. Gia became one of the first famous women to publicly confront AIDS, spotlighting a disease that at the time was shrouded in stigma and misunderstanding. Though her life ended at just 26, her impact lingers on. Today, she is remembered not just as a model, but as a pioneer who paved the way for future generations to embrace their identities and accept themselves fully. Her life ignited conversations about the darker facets of the fashion industry, urging a critical look at the pressures models face. Gia's story continues to inspire artists and advocates, reminding us all of the importance of authenticity, acceptance, and the fight against stigma. As we reflect on her contribution, we see that her legacy shines brightly, influencing new waves of models and icons today, proving that true beauty lies in being authentic, fighting the odds, and making a mark on the world. Gia Carangi's life was a powerful paradox, a dazzling rise, and a heartbreaking fall that put a raw human face on addiction, AIDS, and the harsh realities of fame. Her story challenges us to look beyond the surface and remember the real people behind the icons. She wasn't just a supermodel, she was a trailblazer, redefining beauty standards and opening doors for future generations to embrace their own identity. Through her magnetic persona and fearless defiance of conventional norms, Gia empowered countless other models, paving the way for them to express their individuality. Yet, the fashion world that celebrated her beauty so widely turned its back when she faced her most significant battles. It begs the question, did the industry truly fail Gia, or did she succumb to her demons on her own? While her career flickered brightly, it was tragically brief, shining a light on the darker side of fame. Gia's legacy persists, serving as a reminder of the importance of compassion, understanding, and the struggles faced by those in the spotlight. We must not forget the challenges of mental health and addiction, and how easily anyone can slip through the cracks. As we reflect on Gia's journey, let us honor her memory by advocating for a kinder, more inclusive industry. Her story doesn't end with her death, because her impact continues to resonate. Today, as we celebrate models who give us that Gia energy, let's also remember what it truly means to support each other in an industry that can be unforgiving. In the face of overwhelming odds, Gia Carangi remains a symbol of resilience, and her spirit lives on in all those who dare to be different.